The opposition called for a vote of no confidence to bring an end to the sitting government. The Prime Minister dissolved his own parliament in response. What is the current political crisis in Pakistan all about? The Polis Project dives in. Let us begin from the beginning. In 2018, Imran Khan and his political party Tehreek-e-Insaf came to power by a national election. The party enjoyed support from the military, perhaps the strongest stakeholder in Pakistani politics, and was backed by the money of a sugar baron, Jahangir Khan Tareen. However, despite coming out of the elections as the most popular party, Imran Khan's PTI managed to only win 149 out of the 342 seats in the national parliament, 23 seats short of the 122 seats required to have an absolute majority. In order to ensure Khan's majority, Tareen wooed several candidates who had won their seats independent of any political party to join the PTI. The fact that Tareen was offering them money in exchange for loyalty remained an open secret. These happened despite Imran Khan's anti-corruption rhetoric, which had been his main bid during the election campaign. Khan also sought out support from other political parties to solidify his majority in the parliament. The parties he managed to acquire support from were Karachi's Muttahida Qayyumi Movement, Rural Punjab's Pakistan Muslim League Q, and the Baluchistan Awami Party. As Khan enjoyed his rise to power, the opposition complained of being politically targeted. When they said Khan, they also meant the military. Several people were jailed over charges of corruption, with cases that are still ongoing. Who were these big players in the opposition? First, the Pakistan People's Party. The political party claims to be left of center, but has a long history of dynastic politics. Current chairman, Bilawal Bhutto Zardari, is the heir of the infamous Bhutto clan, supported by the political acumen of his father, Asif Ali Zardari. The party emerged victorious in Sindh in 2018 due to overwhelming support from the rural region. Next was Pakistan Muslim League Nawaz. It was Nawaz Sharif who had held power from 2013 to 2018, and his ouster over corruption charges led to the party's rule weakening. Nawaz Sharif currently is in political self-exile in the UK, but his daughter Maryam Nawaz and brother Shehbaz Sharif remain in the country. Lastly, there is Maulana Fazl Ruhul Rahman. He is the leader of the far-right religious movement Jamiat Ulema-e-Islam and is a major presence in Pakistan politics due to his supremely well-organized street politics and due to the sheer number of supporters he manages to mobilize. Keeping Tareen around became also problematic when Khan's entire political rhetoric was based on anti-corruption. Tareen left for the UK, leaving Khan's PTI not only considerably weaker on the financial front, but also unable to rely on the members that Tareen had co-opted earlier. As it is always the case with civil-military alliance in Pakistan, this one ran its course too. While no one knows the exact reasons the military pulled back support, Khan has hinted several times that he wanted a more independent foreign policy. The military has also historically ensured that no civilian prime minister would manage to complete a 5-year term so as not to consolidate too much power. Whatever the case may be, it became apparent earlier this year that Khan no longer enjoyed the unconditional military support he did in 2018. PTI's popularity also took a hit amongst the general public as prices rose across the country. This was partly due to global inflation, but heavy borrowing from the International Monetary Fund also added to general discontent. As Khan's power began to fray on the edges, the opposition party came together under a united front. Claiming that Khan's government is a puppet regime installed by the military, opposition party formed the Pakistan Democratic Movement. On 8 March, the PDM filed a no-confidence motion against Khan in the National Assembly. Khan's majority at the time was razor-thin. Inflation had taken its toll on his government's popularity, the military had pulled back support, and the motion meant that Khan could not call for early elections. Members of his party started to defect. The government alleged that the opposition was partaking in horse trading to weaken its position in the parliament. As the House of Cards threatened to collapse, both MQM and PMLQ became indecisive regarding their allegiance to the government. It had become clear that Khan will lose his majority in the parliament. On 27 March, the PTI arranged a massive political rally as a power show. While addressing his supporters, Imran Khan extracted a letter from his jacket, stating that he had been receiving threatening letters from people he cannot name. He claimed that he could show the content of the letter off the record. Then, during a televised public address, Khan claimed that the US was behind the movement to oust him from power. He claimed that a diplomatic cable received from a foreign mission had revealed the conspiracy. Fearing backlash from his claim, the Chief of Army Staff Qamar Javed Bajwa was forced to publicly announce that Pakistan's relation with the US remained healthy. Khan still refused to share any explicit details about the letter with the public, making his word the only evidence for his claim. However, it appears that the actual content of the letter really did not matter. What mattered was the hypothesis that Khan's ouster was an international conspiracy. When the parliament convened on 3 April for the vote of no confidence, National Assembly Deputy Speaker Qasim Khan Suri dismissed the motion against Khan, terming it against Article 5, subsection 1 of the Constitution. Article 5, subsection 1 of the Pakistani Constitution states that loyalty to the state is the basic duty of every citizen. Since Khan alleges that the ouster is an international conspiracy, he managed to delegitimize the motion against him. Once the motion was dismissed in Parliament, Khan advised President Arif Alvi to dissolve the Parliament under Article 58 of the Constitution. In effect, this left Pakistan with no federal government. On Sunday, 3 April, the Supreme Court exceptionally came to session, taking note of the dissolution. The opposition claimed that Imran Khan had subverted the constitution by dissolving the assembly. PTI, on the other hand, claimed that the Supreme Court does not have any jurisdiction to interfere in parliamentary proceedings. The Supreme Court deliberated for 4 days, and on 7 April, under the leadership of Chief Justice Umar Ata Bandial, the 5 judges bench announced its unanimous decision. Khan's government was in subversion of the constitution. The National Assembly must be restored, and the vote of no confidence must proceed on 9 April 2022. The decision was considered historic. The Pakistan Supreme Court had buried the doctrine of necessity in favor of the supremacy of constitution. When the Assembly reconvened on 9 April, the Speaker of the House, Asad Qaiser, chose his partisan loyalty over his duty to Parliament. Several delaying tactics were used to avoid the vote of no confidence. The opposition insisted that this was contempt of the Supreme Court. Things took a turn for the worse when the news of Imran Khan planning to dismiss Chief of Army Staff Bajwa started doing the rounds. An emergency was declared on hospitals in the capital Islamabad. A prisoner's van was parked outside the parliament. Many feared the worst, a fifth martial law in the country. Nearing midnight, the Speaker of the National Assembly tendered his resignation, refusing to carry out the vote. His position was filled by Ayaz Sadiq, who took charge of the House, resolute of ensuring that the vote goes through. A minute before the clock struck midnight, Sadiq began proceedings, fulfilling the Supreme Court order of carrying out the vote of no confidence on 9 April. 10 April in Pakistan began with the ouster of Prime Minister Imran Khan's government. The 22nd Prime Minister of Pakistan to be dismissed, unable to complete his 5-year term. So what's next? Shahbaz Sharif of the Pakistan Muslim League in now sits as Prime Minister. His older brother, and perhaps Khan's most bitter rival, prepares to come back to Pakistan from his political self-exile. The Pakistan People's Party hopes for a large share in the upcoming federal election. And Khan's supporters stormed the street, protesting the regime change, holding the same military that brought him to power, now responsible for the ousting. Whatever tomorrow brings to the country, one thing is sure. If you are a student of history in Pakistan, you will spend much of your life aggravated at the insistence of the powerful to repeat it.